Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining our session. My name is Welaine Carr, and I'm an academic specialist at UCEAP System-Wide Office. I'm joined by my co-presenters who will each introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amber Nicholson. I am also an academic specialist at the UCEAP System-Wide Office.
Hi, my name is Ashley Arvanites. I use the pronoun she, her, hers, and I am a UCEAP Program Operations Specialist.
And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Zimmerman, and I'm the Student Services Manager and Senior Academic Advisor for the Environmental Studies Program here at UC Santa Barbara.
We have a lot of information packed into this presentation, so we'll move quickly. Please feel free to take screenshots of any of the slides. The presentation is being recorded and will be posted in the CVent Attendee Hub after the conference is over. Stick around for a brief Q&A at the end. As academic advisors, your role is crucial in guiding and supporting students throughout their educational journey. Our session goal is to equip you with tools and resources in empowering students to choose a study abroad adventure that aligns with their UC academic plan. In this session, we will discuss the study abroad timeline and program types, program exploration, academic planning resources, eligibility requirements, and the application process. We will then end with the tools and resources that you can use on your campus when working with UC EAP students. So grab your coffee and get cozy as we walk you through the process of studying abroad. Photo courtesy is of UCSB student Daniel Alvarado walking the streets of Lyon during his year-long program in France.
All right, let's start off the session by addressing the huge elephant in the room. The answer to many of your students' questions about studying abroad will be, it depends. UCEAP offers an enormous selection of programs, currently 164 programs across 40 countries, with more coming in the 24-25 academic year. This number of programs means that we can serve a diverse population of students and their individual goals and preferences across all UC campuses. However, this volume of programs also means that there are considerable variations among programs, such as types, location, term and duration, housing, and academic culture. Additionally, because we are supporting students at all 10 UC campuses, there will be a lot of variety in campus-specific policies and procedures relating to applications, deadlines, required forms, pre-approvals, petitioning for course credit, and even degree conferral timelines. This is all to say, as you already know as academic advisors, the most common answer to higher education questions is also often, it just depends. Therefore, we will spend the majority of this presentation reviewing the UC EAP, UC campus, and host institution resources available to support you and your students as they choose their own study abroad adventure. And this photo is courtesy of UC EAP's own Ashley Arvanites during her recent trip to Kenya. Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks, Eric. So here is an at-a-glance view of the student study abroad timeline. Today, we'll be focusing on the steps advisors may be involved in, but this is a great overview of the cycle that you can refer back to at any time. Both campus study abroad advisors and academic advisors play an essential role throughout the study abroad timeline. Study abroad advisors are generally more involved in the program exploration, application, and pre-departure phases, while academic advisors are usually involved from the exploration phase until after a student returns and is petitioning for course credit. In general, students should start exploring and researching program options at least 10 months before they want to study abroad, but they can start even earlier. The earlier they start, the more options they will have available to them. Incoming freshmen and transfer students can start thinking about how study abroad fits into their academic plans even before they're on campus. Check out the program search tool link or QR code on the bottom right to start exploring our program offerings. Most UCEAP applications open 7 to 10 months prior to the start of a program. Application deadlines vary by program and campus, but are usually 6 to 9 months before the program start date. The vast majority of UCEAP programs do not have capacity limits, which means that every student who meets the eligibility requirements and submits a complete application by the deadline can participate. Limited capacity programs are clearly noted and fill on a first-come, first-served basis. Students are advised to connect with their campus academic advisors during the exploration phase to determine if a program fits into their academic plan and to understand the college and department's policies related to studying abroad. Each college and department may have their own policies, including the petition process, the type of documentation required for a petition, and a maximum number of courses or units taken on study abroad that can be applied to a major or minor requirement. Special thanks to the Summer 23 Public Health and Society in Ghana students for providing a group photo. Program types. UCEAP offers a wide variety of program types depending on students' academic background, personal preferences, and goals. They could take classes with other international students in an immersion program, conduct research or complete an internship, or take courses focused on a specific theme or subject. With so many options, it truly allows students to choose their own adventure. Regardless of which UCEAP program students choose, they are guaranteed to earn UC units, coursework will appear on their UC transcript, and grades will be factored into their UC GPA. What requirements these courses fulfill is determined by the student's home UC college or department during the petition process after a student returns. Program exploration. UCEAP programs are designed to help students reach their academic, career, and personal goals. So students should begin their program exploration by reflecting on their individual priorities and what they hope to accomplish while abroad. Here are a few factors students should consider when trying to identify their best fit program. Academics and opportunities. Do they want or need to complete degree requirements abroad? Do they want to take courses in English or in another language? Or do they want to learn another language? Do they want to enhance their resume by completing an internship, conducting their own research, or working in a lab? Location and duration. Where do they want to study? Are there specific regions, countries, or cities they're interested in living in? How long do they want to be abroad for? Would a summer, quarter, semester, or year-long program be best? When are some possible times to go abroad? Personal and financial. Do they have any special financial, health, or other personal preferences to consider? UCEAP has a study abroad planner tool that helps students reflect on these topics. This resource can be accessed through the link or QR code on the bottom left. Your campus study abroad office may also have similar resources. And I'll turn it over to Eric.
Thanks, Ashley. So let's talk a little bit about campus and department resources. During the exploration and application phases, students have access to a variety of resources through their UC campus, study abroad offices, and colleges or departments. These can include things like academic planning forms or sample degree plans that include study abroad options, guidelines on petitioning for course credit, study abroad course databases, or lists of pre-approved courses that can be applied to major, minor, or GE credit, or much more. Courtesy of our colleagues at UCSB and UC Davis, we have provided two great examples of how campus and college offices have incorporated study abroad into students' academic planning. The QR codes show an example of different ways to host this information, and if you download the PDF version, these are clickable URLs. On the left, the UCSB Education Abroad website has an entire page dedicated to academics and allows departments to host department-specific information and resources. This includes academic planning, course databases, experiential learning, and tips for graduating seniors. The QR code on the right is an example of how a college, in this case, the UC Davis College of Biological Sciences, has created a dedicated page on their college website focusing on study abroad. If colleges and/or departments are interested in creating or updating resources, including web pages related to UCEAP study abroad, consider partnering with your campus study abroad office or applying for a UCEAP academic integration grant. A couple personal examples from my own department are where we provide on our department website a PDF called Guidelines to Studying Abroad for Environmental Studies Majors. This outlines our department rules and how to use them to evaluate if EAP courses will fulfill specific major requirements. Another popular tool I use is every fall quarter, I work with our own department EAP office to host an actual info session just specifically for my environmental studies majors. The office sends over a staff member who covers the basic about EAP, and we invite a couple recently returned EAP environmental studies students who share their personal experiences abroad. I'm also there to help answer specific questions about fulfilling major requirements with abroad credit. These are just two examples of very popular tools that I personally use in my department that you may want to consider. The UCEAP academic integration grants can provide up to $5,000 to help promote the integration of study abroad programs and coursework into the campus or department curricula. Academic integration specialist Katie Van Mewen hosted a session on academic integration grants on Tuesday morning, so be sure to check it out via the recordings. And this photo is courtesy of three-time EAP alumna Annie Way during her quarter in Paris. And to you, Amber.
Thanks, Eric. So during the application phase, there are several resources that students and advisors can access in order to learn more about the academic offerings available at each program. These resources include the UCEAP course catalog, the Campus Credit Abroad database, the host institution course catalog, and the academic culture section and grading timeline, all of which can be found on the academic subpage for each individual program. Although UCEAP students are advised that academic advisors may only be able to provide preliminary approval for a course to count as major credit prior to the start of the program, and that a final course syllabus and other documentation are needed to determine course articulations, these resources can still assist students and advisors as they consider program options. So let's take a closer look at each resource. On a program's academic page, if you scroll down, you'll find a section called Catalogs and Resources. This section includes links to the UCEAP course catalog, the Campus Credit Abroad database, and the host institution course catalog. While not all programs include all of these resources, and some even include additional resources, this section provides a wealth of academic information specific to that program. The UCEAP course catalog is one of many resources to help students research their academic plans. It can be used to see the courses that students across all UC campuses have taken in the last 5 years. While not a complete and up-to-date list of courses available on a program, it is a great starting point, which means with this catalog, students and advisors can identify the department where a course is hosted. They can determine how many UC units courses are worth. They can confirm whether a course is upper or lower division, or even gather course content information such as a course description. For example, if a student was interested in health psychology, the first course on the list, they would see that it's worth 4 quarter units. It's offered at the University of Ghana's Department of Psychology, and it's numbered 127, which indicates that it is an upper division course. If you were to click on the course link, it would take you to a detailed course description, which students may share with their academic department for preliminary advice on fulfillment of degree requirements. But just a heads up, this resource may not be available for all programs. If a program is newer, we may not have a record of previously taken courses. The Campus Credit Abroad database goes a step further to show the types of course credit, whether that be major, minor, GE, or elective received by previous students during their time abroad. Therefore, this database helps identify programs where previous students received campus-specific major or GE credit, or more generally allows students to browse the type of credit received through programs they are interested in. To use this resource, start by choosing the UC campus. Once you've reviewed the disclaimers, you can search for programs where credit was awarded in a specific major. Or you can even filter by college or school requirements, GEs, or electives. From there, you can narrow the search by country and even host institution. While the majority of campus credit abroad database data reports previously approved courses, the Berkeley database provides a list of courses pre-approved for breadth requirements. The availability of data for each academic year, as well as the specificity of that data, will vary by campus. This data is supplied to UCEAP by each campus registrar and is maintained by our research team. And when updated, data will reflect the prior academic year's records to capture the latest course articulations. For many immersion programs, host institution course catalogs are another great resource for researching course offerings. Remember, the UCEAP course catalog and campus credit abroad database show courses that have been previously taken by UCEAP students, whereas a host institution's catalog gives a full picture of the courses that are available through that program. Some host institution course catalogs are linked under the same Catalogs and Resources section on the program's academics page. As seen on the screen, you can see the different faculty handbooks at the University of Ghana, as well as an example of the course numbers, titles, and descriptions for advanced psychology courses offered during the second semester. Other programs may link to an overview document or video that provides instructions for how best to navigate the host institution's course catalog. This is common when exchange students only have access to certain courses that are offered by the host. Reviewing a host institution's course catalog allows students to broadly search for courses, review the types of courses that are offered during a previous term, and access detailed course information such as the course description, prerequisites, language of instruction, and assessment details. This information helps students and advisors to start creating an academic plan for studying abroad. Some UCEAP programs are even designed specifically for UC students, and these are called UC curriculum programs. UC curriculum programs have similar elements to UC style courses in that syllabi are available in advance. Students can use the syllabus to discuss course articulations before they participate, and students receive regular assessment and feedback in their courses so they know how they're performing. These programs are a great option for students who may be more comfortable with UC style learning and coursework. Additionally, some programs, such as summer physics and organic chemistry, are pre-approved for students attending specific UC campuses, and these approvals can also be viewed on the academics page for each individual program. As we mentioned earlier, regardless of which program a student selects, all UCEAP coursework will appear on the student's UC transcript, and the grades will count towards their UC GPA. But what those credits count towards will be determined by the college or departmental office at the home UC campus after a student returns. Now I'll turn it back over to Ashley to take us through some eligibility requirements.
Thanks, Amber. So once the student has identified a few programs that might be a good fit academically, they will want to review the eligibility requirements. Eligibility requirements vary by program and can be found on the Dates and Eligibility tab of the program page, as well as in the application instructions in a UCEAP portal. Students must meet both campus and UCEAP program-specific eligibility requirements. All UCEAP programs have a minimum GPA and class standing requirement, but some programs may also include any of the following: prerequisite courses, language level, specific majors, or citizenship restrictions. Most requirements must be met at the time of application. However, class standing and course and language prerequisites can be met at the time of departure in most cases. We also wanted to mention that students can still study abroad in their senior year, final term, or even the summer after their senior year if they reserve at least one requirement that can be met abroad. Students looking into these options are directed to their academic advisors to plan accordingly. All right, so now that students have identified their program, they're ready to apply. So again, as I mentioned in the beginning, the deadlines are going to vary by campus and program, but generally they're about 6 to 9 months before the program starts. Students must complete a campus application and a UCEAP application. Each application may have different requirements. However, all application steps and campus-specific deadlines are included on the How to Apply tab of our website. It is important to note that students can only apply to one UCEAP program per term. This is because most programs do not have a capacity limit. If a student is not nominated for a program, UCEAP and the campus advisor will work with the student to try to identify some alternative programs. So once a student completes both the campus and UCEAP applications, the study abroad advisor and the UCEAP office will review the application to determine if the student meets the eligibility requirements and can move forward in the process. I did want to mention that some programs also require students to complete a host application. Students are guided through the host application process, as well as many other pre-departure requirements and tasks, such as securing housing and obtaining visa or immigration documentation if required.
All right, now we're on to the academic timeline. So with the exception of UC curriculum programs, students will finalize their course selections close to departure or upon arrival. Again, students are informed that their academic advisors may only give preliminary approval for a course to count as major credit prior to the start of the program. Once a student is on site and has access to their course syllabus, they are advised to send it to their academic advisor for a more thorough review. In some cases, this process may also take place after the student has returned and their grades have been posted to their UC record. During the program, students are advised to collect as much information as possible, which can include course descriptions, final syllabi, copies of submitted essays, returned assignments, exams, or some combination of these. These materials are used by campus colleges and departments to determine if a course is applicable to a specific degree requirement. Then upon returning from their time abroad, students will receive their grades and may petition for course credit. You can even encourage students to complete UCEAP's new Navigating Reentry course, which assists students in reflecting on their time abroad and developing strategies for discussing their experience professionally. If you're interested in learning more about this topic, please check out the recording of Tuesday's session. This photo is courtesy of the UC students studying at Fudan University during their summer in Shanghai. And now the grades timeline. Once grades are received from the host institution, UCEAP will process and transmit the grades to the UC campus registrars. Coursework taken abroad by UCEAP participants is converted to direct UC credit, and the courses, units, and grades are listed on the student's official UC transcript. Lastly, term grades will not be available as early as students are used to at their home UC. Each program's academic page includes a section on academic culture and grades, which informs the student when their grades are typically available. Graduating seniors are advised to inform their campus academic advisor of their grade timeline in order to facilitate the conferral of their degree. UCEAP is unable to report grades early. However, we can provide a verification letter if or when a student requires such information for graduate and professional schools or prospective employers. Here are several additional resources and events that you can refer to in the upcoming months. All of the items listed here are clickable links on the PDF slides on CBET. The UCEAP website is the main hub for all of our programs, events, scholarships, and more. Our YouTube channel features the UCEAP 101 information session recording that we do a few times a year. 2 live UCEAP 101 sessions will also be featured in the virtual study abroad fair on October 26th. If you'd like to help promote that to your students. UC Campus Study Abroad offices will also be hosting their individual campus study abroad fairs in the fall. The AI grants mentioned earlier in the session can be accessed through the link on this slide, and you can get in the know of UCEAP staff news and events, as well as student views through the UCEAP Pulse newsletter and the Californian Abroad blog. As we tell our students that they are not alone on their journey, academic advisors also have the support of the Campus Study Abroad offices and UCEAP. Reach out to your Campus Study Abroad office colleagues. They are an invaluable source of information for navigating the planning process for your specific UC campus, college, and department. This slide also contains clickable links to your UC campus office contacts and UCEAP country contacts. You may also contact or refer students to the info@uceap.universityofcalifornia.edu email address for any UCEAP general questions. We will now move on to the Q&A portion of our session. If you have any questions, you can feel free to either unmute yourself and ask your question or type it in the chat as well. And actually, I did notice one chat message that came through during the presentation. Katie Van Mewen, the academic integration grants are for a maximum of $3,000. Thank you, Katie, for that edit.
Yeah, sorry about that, Katie. We're trying to give away more money than you actually have.
And anybody has questions? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
I was just going to say, any questions you have, if you want to ask about specific questions related to your department or best practices or anything, we'd love to try to answer them for you.
I have a question, and maybe you mentioned this and I just missed it, but how are classes added to the Campus Credit Abroad spreadsheet? How is that updated?
It's through the registrar's office. Our research team usually collects the information, I believe every 2 years. So it's done through the campus registrars.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Yena is here if she has anything
Yes.
she wants to add to that.
I think you've got it. We do
I
try
got
to,
it.
yeah, we try to make the request every year, and then it depends on how busy the registrars are. So we aim for every 2 years.
Thank you, Yena.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate as a department advisor, I always tell my students that that's a great resource, but by no means is it all inclusive, right? Obviously, it's going to be at least a year behind, maybe even more. So I always encourage my students to make sure they go to the current catalog if they can to see what's being offered that specific academic year. But it's still a really great database, to work off of to give students a good idea of what has been offered in the past.
Thanks, Eric. Nice to now see everybody. I had a camera snafu as I was presenting, so it's where I had to unplug it and plug it back in. It's working now. Are there other questions? We'd love to connect with our colleagues at UC campuses. If there are any academic advisors at any campus, we would love to give us an emoji or let us know in the chat where you're coming from, what department. Monica?
Yeah, I'm, for those of you who don't know, I'm not an academic advisor. I used to be one, but I'm at UCEAP system-wide office. But one thing that, it's always disheartening to hear like a student say like, oh, I can't study abroad because it doesn't fit in my major, or, I can't be away for that long. Maybe Eric, from your experience or other advisors out there who get either a student with that attitude or students coming in with like difficult questions that you need help answering, maybe we can be a resource for you to give some feedback, have a little conversation about that when you get a student who just thinks they can't study abroad.
Yeah, Monica, that's a great point. And I go back to it depends, right? Because it will vary from student to student in their situations and major to major. But I think it all really just starts with a positive attitude as an advisor towards EAP and towards, the opportunities that study abroad can have for a student. I think sometimes students just kind of convince themselves that they don't, maybe I can't just study abroad because of this, this, and this. And they make up all these excuses in their head. And then maybe their parents say, well, you should go talk to your advisor and just double check, and then they come see an advisor either in, UCEAP or the campus EAP or even their department advisor. And we can kind of sometimes turn that frown upside down, right? And say, well, actually, there are some options here. Maybe you can't do a year-long program, but maybe a semester program or even a summer program might be more ideal for you. I always make sure to reach out to my transfer students, my incoming transfer students, because I think that's another area that students are often convinced themselves before they even put foot on campus that studying abroad is just not possible for them. And at least in my department, because I have such a flexible curriculum, that's definitely not the case. And so I go out of my way during my orientation session to point out that EAP is still on the table for them. So to answer that question, I think it will again vary from department to department, campus to campus. But I think, the most important thing is just to tell a student, if you don't know, go ask, right? Go talk to somebody and just make sure before you convince yourself that studying abroad is not an option, because they often are very pleasantly surprised that there are specific programs that might work into their schedule or help them knock off major requirements that they never even thought of before. I think those summer physics and organic chemistry programs are perfect examples of that, because students are thinking they have to do a whole year of physics during the school year when they can all of a sudden find out what I can get it done in 12 weeks while studying abroad in England. That's amazing. Never knew that, right? So I think the bottom line is just try to educate our advisors as much as we can or know where to send these students when they kind of have convinced themselves it's not an option, to at least verify or double check that with people that are in the know and can, do their individual progress check and maybe work out a specific plan.
I think if
Thank
I
you
may
for-
also, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Willie.
Oh, if I may also add, because I was an academic advisor and study abroad advisor on campus as well, is that sometimes students have a picture of where they want to go, but actually their major courses are not available there. So sometimes just having a conversation about, okay, well, actually there are a lot of biology courses in Australia and New Zealand. We know that it's hard to convince students, but there have been times where a student really does like come around to it and see like, oh, yeah, actually I could study abroad anywhere. Why am I just thinking of this place in my head? But again, it's part of the managing expectations. I like to say that it's not that you cannot study abroad. It's like, how flexible are you with this idea in your head? But that's just from my experience.
I think that's a great point, and I think being at the UC campus is right. Each UC campus has their different strengths depending on the student's background, preferences. Do they want to live in a big city? Do they want to live by the beach? Like, what is their major? Is what they hope to do in the future even a possibility? Do they even have a school of business at the UC campus where they think is the best fit for them? So I think similar to how students approach even just the university aspect in general, applying some of those same approaches to study abroad, to have them have an open mind. Again, as Lelaine said, there may be locations that they hadn't even considered, were not on their radar, right? And might give them a glimpse into another culture that they would have never, potentially been exposed to, which I think can have a lot of benefits as well.
there other questions? If not, I'll just add, I was at UC Riverside for 15 years, so shout out to LaSharon and Anna's presentation for DACA students earlier, Highlander Pride there. But I was a departmental advisor in the Science College as well as a career advisor in the health field for many years. And I think many advisors, for Monica's question, will also begin to start seeing themes and trends of where their students are attending programs like summer physics or summer organic chemistry, which allow students to knock out those sequential courses that are required for most STEM majors, or they might start to see a lot of students that are doing the psychology and neuroscience or biological and life science programs in the Netherlands, where students have access to upper division coursework that's going to be very similar to their STEM major at their science college, or they can take a lot of engineering classes at Lund in Sweden. So you'll also, if you're a newer advisor, once you start seeing students study abroad, you'll start to get the themes and the trends of programs that are working well for your students at your campus. And that's where Eric's expertise is great. I think you've been with environmental sciences for 25 years, not to out you. Is that right? 25?
Maybe a few more than that, but we'll stick with
okay, well, we'll stop at
that's a good number.
25.
Yeah.
And so Eric's seen so many study abroad programs. I'm assuming, Eric, I don't want to speak for you, but you've seen ones that have been really a great synergy with your students and your campus and your major, correct?
Yeah, I mean, this gives me a chance to give a special shout out for those what we call thematic programs that are specific programs with already set curriculum around a certain topic or theme. One of the most popular ones, which I think has now been around for almost 4 decades, is the Costa Rica program, where students can go and actually be living at a research station in the rainforest. And so the courses are already set for them. What's also really cool about some of the thematic programs is they're actually only a quarter long. Most people get stuck in their head because we're normally working with universities that are on the semester system, that you have to go away for a full semester. And that's not true. Some of these programs like the Costa Rica are on a quarter system. So you can literally go fall, winter, or spring quarter and just miss 1 quarter at your home university. So yes, there's just constantly new programs being added. The sustainability program in Chile is another one that I was very much involved in, that we actually had set up just right before the pandemic, a brand new program. So EAP is just a wonderful, this is one of the advantages of being part of the UC system, is we have such amazing resources and connections all around the world that, EAP is always looking to expand and offer new programs. So even as a seasoned veteran like myself, I'm constantly learning new things and new opportunities that are out there. And sometimes the students are bringing them to my attention for the first time because they found out about new programs that I wasn't even aware of. So it's just a dynamic synergy that's going on with UCEAP, and it's one of the reasons why I enjoy working, with the program and with students and sending them through this program, because so much of the legwork is being done for the students already, that they can really focus on, finding the right program and then participating in that program, whatever it might be.
And I think, Eric, you bring up another really good point as well, related to some of the other concerns we know students have, right? That time to graduation, as well as the cost of those programs. And generally, California is not a particularly inexpensive place for students to live or study. And so there are locations where students are able to go and actually save money, because the cost of living is significantly lower than it would be if they were on their home UC campus. So I think that's another thing that's important, to try to be able to have that in your back pocket to reassure those students. And also, for the same point that Eric brought up, if we have students at our quarter campuses, if they were to go away for a fall semester program that ends in December, these students have the potential to earn even more units during that single quarter that they missed at UC, and come back and actually make further progress towards their degree, get those additional units more than if they had stayed on their home campus. So I know that those are some really good sort of considerations. Obviously, there's the flip side of that. If a student were to go for a spring semester, they're potentially missing 2 quarters, but all of the programs will allow students to at least maintain their full-time student status for the quarters that they're missing, so that if they are financial aid recipients, they're still eligible for that. So those are some really good considerations if students have those common concerns.
That's a great point, Ashley. I was going to say, oh, there's a flip side to that. But on the other flip side, the benefit side is we do have a few programs that are winter quarter, or at least one that's winter quarter or spring quarter options as well. Obviously, a bulk of them are going to run on the semester system, but there are quarter length options for students as well as in a variety of summer programs that could include in research or internships that are available to students. And all of those can be found on that Find program search function that's included as a clickable link or a QR code on the presentation slide deck that's been uploaded into Cvent.
All right, speaking of research, Yena did remind us that we have a Student Research Award winner from the Costa Rica program at tomorrow's 8 a.m. session. So yeah, go and check it out and see what the students are doing abroad. Actually, I think we need like a prize for the people who can find all the mini shout outs we did on the presentation to everything UCEAP related. But I just wanted to acknowledge also the campuses who wrote their Laura, thanks for attending. Literature from Santa Cruz. Gwen from Linguistics, Santa Cruz, thank you. And then we have Christina from UC Merced in the School of Engineering. Thank you. We always want more engineers to go abroad. And UCSB, of course. And also Danilo from UCLA mentioned summer programs are always great options. All right.
Yes, thank you, campus academic advisors. We could not do this without your support. Students need you, as Ashley mentioned, from inception all the way to their back and now are petitioning for course credit. You're involved in every step of this process. So we thank you for your support of UCEAP students, and we look forward to continuing our collaboration as the years move forward. Go ahead, Elizabeth.